Hi, my name's Barrie Crampton. Welcome to another episode of Straight Out of Crampton. Thank you again, Busy Lizzie, for that name. I've got to say, I still get emotional to this day. It was a bad day, honestly. It was a real bad day. Everything was going great at the time. And then, in the UK, we had a few setbacks. Telephone call for Sean boomed out over the intercom. As he ran to his desk expecting a sales call, the receptionist said, "It's your wife, she sounds upset." He answered the call standing at his desk, but I saw his face go white and he just dropped. Luckily, he landed on the chair. It wasn't intentional. If it hadn't been there, he'd have hit the floor. The phone sunk to his chest. I could see tears welling up in his eyes. "What's the matter?" I asked him. "Are you okay?" He didn't look at me. He just mumbled, My daughters are shopping in Warrington." Then I knew what was wrong. He'd been in the canteen having a brew, but I had just heard on the news, on the radio in the showroom, 2 bombs had exploded in Warrington town centre. The devices had detonated in waste bins, one outside a boot store and the other outside a McDonald's at either end of town. Early reports said that 2 children had been killed and that there were many other casualties. The Provisional IRA claimed responsibility and they'd phoned in a coded warning to the police, but there hadn't been enough time to evacuate the area. His daughters were beautiful. His eldest was so stunning that she'd been stopped in the street while out with her mother and offered her a modelling contract. When they visited the garage, he was careful to keep them well away from me. I was a lot younger than the rest of the sales team, and I was the only one who wasn't married. I used to tease him by asking if he'd ever found out who the dad was. It couldn't be him because he was too ugly. Don't feel sorry for him because I got as much stick as I gave. We all took every opportunity that presented itself to play jokes on each other. I knew Sean's daughters were his Achilles heel. He absolutely worshipped them, but I just didn't know how best to use it against him until one day he let slip that since she got the offer to be a model, his eldest daughter was growing up far too fast for his liking. He thought she'd become secretive and evasive about her activities. He and his wife suspected that she might be up to no good. Of course, as soon as I discovered that, an idea for a great wind-up dropped into the chamber. The next day I waited for him to come down the stairs from the canteen and I picked up the telephone, pretending not to see him as he approached. Speaking just loud enough for him to hear and looking as furtive as possible, I ignored the dial-in tone, whispering into the receiver, "Okay, I'll pick you up at the end of your road. Then we can go back to my house. But be careful, whatever you do, make sure your dad doesn't follow you. I'm sure he suspects something and he's gonna go ape shit when he finds out that it's me you're going out with. Yep, I love you too. See you tonight." Few kisses for added effect. Then I put the imaginary call on hold, acting as if I didn't know he was stood behind me listening to every word. I shouted to the receptionist, "Put a call out for Sean. Tell him his daughter's on the phone." It worked a little too well. He went ballistic and he chased me around the showroom with me laughing hysterically and shouting that it's a joke, it was a joke, hiding behind this 850 we had in the showroom. He had a complete sense of humour failure when it came to his daughters. He stopped short of beating me to death with a glasses guide, but he did threaten to kill me if I ever even looked twice at his daughters. That incident had happened a few weeks before, and I wished I could have turned the clock back to that day when we were all laughing and we were joking. Sean was apoplectic now. There was nothing any of us could do to comfort him. No one knew what to say. His daughters didn't have mobile phones, so all we could do was wait. There was no way he would have been able to drive, and we were trying to arrange to get him home to his wife. trying to sound as positive as I could. I'd given him my mobile phone so that I could ring him when he was en route, and as soon as I knew that his daughters were safe. Before we got to the car, his wife rang, this time in tears of happiness, to say the girls had just arrived home, safe, sound and blissfully unaware of the day's tragic events and the narrow escape from the carnage that occurred that day. Only a few minutes had passed since the news broke. It seemed like hours to me. God only knows what Sean felt. His relief was tremendous, and somehow he got the 3 other members of the sales team, he's a big guy, in a group hug and nearly crushed us all. He was doing his best to fight back his emotions, and he let his guard down by telling us that we were all great guys. Innocently, I then said, "So does that mean I can ask your daughters out?" But I still wasn't great enough. Now, we worked 6 days a week, and it didn't leave much time for shopping. It was also in the days before the internet. So if I wanted anything, I'd have to order it by phone. If the item was too big to go through the letterbox, I'd have to ask them to send it to my place of work. Otherwise, I'd never have time to pick it up from the post office collections department, and the item would be returned to sender. Long before it became popular and was ready available on the high streets in England, I used to wear Ralph Lauren Polo Green, the original, and lots of it. A customer's wife once rang me to ask what it was, as she could still smell it in their car weeks after I'd delivered it. It was overpowering the stuff her husband wore, so she wanted to buy him some. The only place that I could find that had a regular supply of Polo was Harrods in London. So I'd open a customer account. When I got down to my last bottle, I'd ring them and ask for a repeat order. I'd never had a problem before replenishing my stock. But on this particular day, I wasn't having much luck. It seemed the girl on the men's counter who I was talking to on the phone was either deaf or she couldn't actually understand English. And she was trying my patience. I'd repeated my name and my work's address about a dozen times. It seemed that she could only tell what I said when I cursed. And she was in danger of posting my aftershave to either Jesus Christ or Gordon Bennett. Still, I persevered. Again, events were going to conspire and bite me in the ass. It was the 90s and the UK was in the middle of an IRA letter bomb campaign. They'd sent parcels booby-trapped with explosives to government ministers and various other captains of industry. Everyone on the mainland had it drummed into them to look out for suspicious packages, usually with a London postmark. And today one had arrived at our garage. My boss was opening the mail as usual when he noticed that this particular parcel was addressed to a Harry Thornton at the BMW garage, and something not dissimilar to the name of the town we were in. Nothing else was on it. No road, no postcode, no return address, and no other information. It was an amazing feat that the post office had actually managed to deliver it to us at all. My boss had started to open it when he noticed the Harrods logo on the bag. Checking the postmark as an afterthought, he saw that it had also been posted in London. He carefully put the package down on the desk while he contemplated his next move. I could see him through the window. My desk here, sales manager's office there, and I could see him. Now this is where car dealers come into their own, and they differ from ordinary people in most of the walks of life. Instead of running for his life, making a big fuss, evacuating the building, calling 999 and alerting the bomb squad, he decided he needed to be absolutely positive that the package was dangerous. Also, even if it was, he needed to move it, as he didn't want them to come and blow it up in his showroom, risking damage to the cars and to the business that he'd nurtured. So he carried it carefully to the valeting bay, where he got 2 of our cleaners to very carefully remove the rest of the wrapping. They used a set of extending drain rods to poke at it while they were crouching behind a wall. You guessed it. Eventually, they uncovered a bottle of aftershave, and as soon as they sprayed it, they all knew the bottle could only belong to one person, and that would be me. Addendum. I never ordered anything else from Harrods. even though I needed some more aftershave, as there was very little in the bottle when it was finally given to me. On the plus side, the valeters smelled great for a couple of days, and so did the valeting bay. Sean discovered who his daughter was going out with, and he was forced to admit that the guy was so obnoxious that it wouldn't have been too much worse even if she'd been dating me. I took that as a compliment and thought I must be growing on him. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.